Tuesday morning, I woke up yet again in the doghouse. The mailman came. More RC truck parts. She was so mad even the dogs were concerned. Anyway, I got sent out to run errands to try and make up for it. Most specifically, I was sent to go buy a chicken for dinner. Whatever. So I jump into Suburban, head to the gas station, and it starts puking antifreeze all over the ground. Serious major problem. Can't drive this. So I take the Suburban back to the shop and grab the dually. I figure I might have enough time to go to A1, get the parts, buy the chicken, come back, fix the Suburban, and still have time to make my trip up to Firepunk Diesel this afternoon. Only when I pull into A1, I find out I've got a leaker and I got a squeaker. All right, Marcus, what do you got for me?
Are we going to talk about this, or?
I don't want to talk about it. It's so bad.
I swear to God.
I think this is what I need for the Suburban.
Okay. Well, we got, that's all your pile right there, too. So,
Oh, it is?
well, it was drilling, Jeremy's drilling a little deeper than,
Right.
but then he passed it off to you, so I'm not sure how far.
So bearings and seals for the back end for
Yeah.
brakes, and then this I don't need. This is the issue.
Okay, that's the issue. Well, good.
And now I got another issue. I got a squealer out there.
Yeah, I hear that.
Serpentine belt.
Is there probably underlying cause,
Probably.
underlying issue?
Probably the idler pulley or the
All right.
whatever.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can figure that out.
So Mark got me all straightened up with my parts list. Now it's time to go get this chicken before something else breaks down. So I head over to White Feather Farms in Pataskala to pick up a nice fresh chicken. That's where Vicky told me to go. Well, I walk in, I can't find no chicken anywhere. I don't see nothing that even resembles the picture she gave me. Well, I did find one thing. I guess that's for before and after effect, I don't know. So after looking around for a few minutes, I realized they keep the chickens behind the counter. That's why I couldn't find it. So finally I get my chicken and I head back to the house to see Miss Vicky. Well, I showed him the picture. I said, I'm here to buy a chicken. It was a chicken I was supposed to get, right?
That's the exact one in the picture.
Well, she's smiling, so I guess I'm off the hook for my RC parts for the day. So now that that's taken care of, I need to get this Dodge over to Firepunk Diesel, and hopefully I have more luck with it than I did the Suburban and the dually earlier today. So I head out on the road, and I'm thinking about, man, I love this truck. Vicky and I had such a good trip home from North Carolina in this thing the other day. This thing is just an absolute blessing to be able to tow that 50-foot trailer with it. I was really hoping to get this truck serviced before we left, but the Suburban took up every ounce of time that my brother had to work on it, and I couldn't fit the thing in my shop. So it went down there without getting serviced, and on the way down I noticed that it skipped a shift one time, and then wouldn't shift out of third gear into fourth. I stopped, pulled over, shut the truck off, fired it back up, and everything went fine for the rest of the trip. On the way home, we stopped into this little rest area to give the dogs a break and let them go potty. Beautiful scenery. I can't imagine what this place is like in the fall when the leaves are just changing. So we're on our way home today from Rockingham, North Carolina. And currently we are in Virginia. We just made it across the Fancy Gap Pass and stopped to get some fuel. And you know, I'm a Chevrolet guy, a GM guy, dyed in the wool, right? It was difficult for me to consider anything other than a Chevrolet or a GMC truck. But let me tell you something. I am thoroughly impressed with this Dodge. Ram, whatever. I consider it a Dodge truck, but there's people out there that are gonna cry and say it's a Ram. Whatever you want to call it. That truck with that Cummins 6.7 liter engine is incredible.
Low stress.
Low stress.
Low stress.
What's your assessment of the power associated with The Ram 3500 6.7 diesel engine.
We're going over hills that before in the dually, where I just kind of close my eyes and pray, and you know, it's just stressful.
Yeah.
We're like through the mountains, and we're like, oh yeah, that was effortless.
Like we just came over Fancy Gap.
Yeah.
And it was like nothing. Like it was going 70 miles an hour all the way to the top of it, never even downshifted.
Right. Like normally I'd have a tummy ache, but look at me. Some nice lady made us lemon squares.
Lemon
brought them
squares?
to the track yesterday.
Why am I
love
just now
lemon-
seeing these?
Yeah. Well, and so like I don't even have a stomach ache.
You've been
I'm
holding
wanting to
out
have-
on me. Look at that.
I know. So we're gonna snack on lemon squares. Like I don't even have a stomach ache. I'm eating.
So we load up the dogs and the lemon squares and head back out on the road in the Dodge. Old Scrappy, she's something else. She's digging at me, wanting petted. She does this almost all the way home. Well, that is when Vicky's not holding her. We made one more fuel stop before we got back into Ohio and hit the road one more time for the last stretch up the West Virginia Turnpike and up 33 to Central Ohio where we live. Once I got home, the first call I made was to Levon Miller at Firepunk Diesel to ask him about this skip shift in the transmission and this whistling noise that I'm hearing when the exhaust brake comes on. Levon called me back and said, hey, bring that truck up Tuesday about 1:30 in the afternoon. We'll pull it in here, check it all out, and see if there's anything we can do to help you out. What's happening, man?
How you doing?
Good to see you again.
Brought me a big white beast.
Yeah, I brought you a big white beast. I brought you something. You're not going to believe this, but the engine light went out.
It went out?
Yeah.
That means your problem went away.
No, it didn't. I know better than that.
Yeah. Well, it'll still have a stored code in it, so
Okay.
we'll see what it did.
Okay.
You said it didn't shift for you one time?
Yeah, it didn't shift one time, and then it's got that noise when it goes on the exhaust brake. It kind of squeals like an airline or something
That's
cracked.
usually an exhaust leak it's on your exhaust manifold.
Okay.
We'll take a look at it and see what we can see.
All right, well, let's check this thing out, see what you make of it. We bought this thing pig in a poke. I don't know if it's any good or not.
When the exhaust brake comes on, it builds a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So while Levon and his guys were checking out Billy's truck, I took a little walk around the shop to check out some of the other projects that they're working on at Firepunk. A lot of really cool old Dodge trucks. I call it Dodge City in there. Everywhere you look, there's another Dodge. Levon Miller got started building transmissions in a makeshift shop in an old milk parlor. Today, this state-of-the-art facility is a leading remanufacturer for Dodge 68 RFE transmissions. They have a full in-house dyno facility and all the tools needed to do whatever it takes to get your diesel pickup truck back up and running. When Levon hooked up the scanner to Billy's truck, he could clearly tell that there was a problem inside the valve body of the transmission, a problem he sees quite often.
Real quick light. So this is your valve body. This is actually a built high pressure valve body. We put a billet lower plate on it, but I'll explain this. So in this bore that you see in the valve body in here, that we have what we call the solenoid switch valve. So this solenoid pack has 7 different solenoids in it, and as it turns the circuits on and off, it makes this solenoid switch valve move to the correct location so it directs fluid to the correct clutch packs. And what happens is as this valve strokes in the bore over time, then it wears that bore out and it starts leaking fluid past its land where the solenoid, the valve doesn't move to where the solenoid's telling it to go.
Yeah.
That's what you get the P0871 code. And you get an overdrive pressure switch rationality. It's basically saying that it turned the solenoid on, but the valve didn't move because it didn't get pressure where it was supposed to. So the fix is to take this valve body apart, and the Sonics has made a piece that actually has a 15th thou larger valve for this bore, to where we'll ream the valve and make it 15th thou oversized, and then put the oversized valve in it. And now it's sealed, and we have a vacuum testing procedure that we do to make sure it holds. And then what we do to prevent the problem from happening again is this billet plate back here adds a lot more rigidity, and it keeps the whole valve body from flexing and distorting.
I got you.
Because often what happens is guys will turn the pressure up in their valve body, and the more pressure you run, the more deflection you get in the valve body, and then that wears that bore out faster.
I got
so,
you.
Sometimes the aftermarket comes in, we put a tune in it so we can add more horsepower, and then we turn up the line pressure so the transmission holds it, but then we also create a problem by adding that extra pressure. And fixing that is by putting, we also put oversized or double seal accumulators in here, and put a heavier plate in here, and add 3 more bolts of this because we've seen this plate blow off. So in a valve body, we fix a lot of the common problems with higher line pressure.
Okay.
But I believe that we can change your valve body on that truck, and that would take care of that code and eliminate that problem. Because if you keep on driving it the way it is now, and that solenoid keeps sticking, you're going to eventually burn up your overdrive clutch, because you're going to be cross leaking fluid where you don't want it to be.
Well, I don't want that.
I don't think you want that.
I don't want that pulling a 50-foot trailer. Guess what? I weighed that thing. That truck and that trailer, take a guess. 50-foot long trailer in that truck. What do you think?
Well, I had a 16 and a 48-foot trailer with a diesel race truck in it.
Oh, that's heavy.
And with the truck, gooseneck, and all our apparel and junk, I was 28.8. So I'm going to say you're 24.
27,660.
There you go. Got a lot of junk.
A lot of junk.
Reached back in there and took a picture of it, and I can see a crack.
Oh yeah, it's a crack back there, isn't it?
Wasn't able to see up on top of it.
That's not good.
Not too good.
Yeah.
Not good, not good, not good.
It can be fixed.
Oh, everything can be fixed. Tell Junior to get out his pocketbook, huh?
But in reality, I mean, an inline 6 like there,
It's a lot easier.
It is a lot easier to work on than
V8.
you have a V8. Gets real tight down to the frame.
Right.
So, and there's better manifolds you can put on there too. But
So it looks like we need to schedule an appointment.
we could probably do that.
All right.
But Landon, I don't know. What do you think on the valve body? Would you have time to do one today if you'd want to?
No, you don't have to do it today.
Okay.
I mean, if you've got time, that'd be wonderful.
I happen to have an extra, like this one is slated for a build that January 4th. So we have enough time to build another one. So if they would have time in the service. But
I would have time today.
Are you serious?
We could pull the truck out.
All right.
Swap it into it.
All right, let's do it. So while Levon's guys were busy working on Billy's truck, he took me for a little sneak peek back in his fabrication shop, aka the race car shop. Levon and his guys are now branching out into race car and race truck fabrication. They've got a little bit of everything in there, from a Cummins swap Ford to a diesel dragster, and even a truck puller. And not just your run-of-the-mill tube chassis truck pull chassis. This thing has coilover shocks and independent front suspension. Levon started showing me around the front box on this thing, where the ice and the water goes, the air-to-water intercooler goes in the center, and then the hydraulic system for the power steering is over on the driver's side. Pretty cool stuff. They've got everything they need in there to fabricate full chassis, roll cages, and anything and everything between, from hot sides to cold sides, so they can service anything and everything that's race car related, with an emphasis on attention to detail. After my tour over in the fab shop, Levon and I came back over to check on the progress on Billy's truck. His brother had just gotten the transmission oil pan removed and made a little bit of a mess on the floor, and I said, that ain't nothing compared to the messes that my son can make. Once the transmission pan and valve body were removed, they did a close inspection on the transmission case and the clutches before installing the new, improved, high-pressure valve body. Levon's little brother is quite the technician. He never missed a beat, very efficient, and got it done in no time at all. And after watching him work and look at some of the signs he's got hanging by his workbench, I guess it's probably a good thing I didn't touch it or offer any advice. Once they had the new valve body installed and torqued down, the next step was to replace both transmission fluid filters. I didn't realize it had two filters. It has a spin-on filter internally, as well as a paper filter like most normal transmissions. And while the truck was there, I decided just to go ahead and have them change the engine oil and oil filter as well. The oil filter on this truck is quite a pain to get to down in this chassis. You have to remove the air box and the air intake tube. Once they had the filters replaced, it was time to put transmission fluid and engine oil in the truck, check fluid levels, fire it up, and then take it for a test drive. As long as the truck passes its inspection on the test drive, I should be able to drive the thing home. Otherwise, I'm going to have to Uber myself home. Hopefully this thing's okay. After the technician pulled the truck back in, he checked fluid levels and gave me the A-OK to go ahead and take the thing home. All right, guys, welcome back. I made it home, and Vicky cooked up that chicken I bought today. Made a wonderful pot of chicken and noodles for me. That was really, really good. She's inside watching her TV shows all bundled up. It's cold as crap here. I got the fire going on down there in the basement and a pellet stove trying to keep the old house warm. But I'm out here in the shop finishing up this video for today. I want to really emphasize how much I appreciate Levon Miller and all the guys at Firepunk Diesel for working me in today, getting the Dodge in there and getting that transmission thing fixed, because I'm telling you, there is nothing worse than hooking to a 50-foot race car trailer towing 27,000 pounds and being so careful and nervous about every shift, you know, wondering, is this going to be the shift that it doesn't make the next one? Is this it? And, you know, up until that one skip shift, the thing hasn't missed a beat. And Levon said, yeah, once it does it one time, that's your warning, get it fixed. If you don't get it fixed right away, it's going to burn up the overdrive and double overdrive 5th and 6th gear clutches, and that's like a $7,500 repair bill, and we don't need that. So it's important when you're towing a trailer like that, or any trailer, it don't really matter, but especially that 50-footer, that your tow vehicle be in tip-top shape, or at least as tip-top as you can get. I wouldn't say my old dually's been in tip-top shape for a long damn time, but it always got the job done for the most part. We had some trouble with it with the distributor there for a little while, and damn near cost me my life one night out on 70. That might be a story for another time. I almost got rear-ended in a construction zone, and I was at the back corner of the trailer waving my flashlight on my phone. A semi's coming up the interstate and swerved at the last second, and I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you he missed me by inches, and I was standing at the back corner of the trailer. Very scary. Almost lost my life that night over that. So I always remember that, and I may not always be going with the kids to go racing, and I worry about my kids all the time. I always try and think of everything that could possibly go wrong and warn them or fix it or do something to make sure that they're okay. And this was my thing today, is I wanted to make sure that I knew for a fact that transmission had something going on. No question, it had something going on. The engine light came on, and I wasn't going to let that go. I wanted to make sure I got that in there to Levon. So anyway, with that being said, the truck, I love it. I love it. Levon told me that the truck that he used to tow with was about the same exact truck and got almost the exact same mileage. Pulling 27,660 pounds up Fancy Gap. It averaged 9.7 miles to the gallon. And then once we got off the mountain, on the backside and down into some flat ground, like once you get down into North Carolina, you come off the mountain, you go down into North Carolina, and you head out to Rockingham. It's pretty flat, not real hilly. There's some minor grades, but nothing serious. And actually out through there, I saw as high as 11.2 miles to the gallon. And that was on relatively flat ground, running 70, 75 miles an hour, not crowding it or anything, in sixth gear. Now, as far as the transmission goes, I'm very careful with it. I monitor it. I watch, every shift that it makes, and I feel it. And I'm always very cognizant of what that thing's doing. And I always let each gear shift and the converter lock before I start to throw power at it. Like, that thing's got some power, and I'm pretty gentle with it. I don't hot rod it whatsoever. I let it make each shift and lock the converter before I give it any power. And I usually don't tow in sixth. I'll usually tow in fifth, which is overdrive. Fourth is direct drive. Fifth is first overdrive, and sixth gear is double overdrive. So I generally try and stay out of sixth gear unless it's on flat ground, going downhill, or you got a massive tailwind or something. I'll put it in sixth gear in those conditions, but generally I'll run it in fifth gear. So here's the weight slip that I got on the scales down in North Carolina at the Pilot Travel Center in Candor, North Carolina. Steer axle, 5,300 pounds on the front, 8,280 on the drive axle, and the trailer showed 14,080, and gross weight 27,660 pounds. Now keep in mind that was with the Falcon. The Falcon's a little bit lighter than the S10 is, probably by almost 200 pounds I would say right now, because it doesn't have all the ballast bars in the back, and it's 100 pounds lighter than the truck is static to begin with. So almost 200 pounds lighter than the S10. So when the S10's in there, you're close to, you're starting to get close to 30,000. You throw a little extra fuel in there and you're right there. So pretty heavy truck and trailer, and pretty incredible to get 9, 10, 11 miles to the gallon pulling almost 30,000 pounds up the road into the wind. So we're really, really happy with that thing. I mean, it's such a life improvement for me and Vicky, because it used to be, she was so nervous that she wouldn't even ride in a dually with me because that thing was screaming pulling the mountains. I mean, we'd be in second gear on the floor, and I've got video someplace that the exhaust manifold's glowing red, cherry red, going up Fancy Gap. So very thankful that Billy bought that truck. It's so much nicer. It's so enjoyable to go and travel someplace now, and wonderful. I can't say enough how much I love that truck, and Vicky loves that truck. But anyway, so that's it. 27,660, 9 to 11 miles to the gallon towing, and 4,000 miles later, we couldn't be happier with that truck. The mirrors and the A-pillar are really difficult to see making a left-hand turn, or when you look to the right out the passenger window to see if anybody's coming. It's really easy to lose cars and motorcycles and things like that. It's really easy to get your view blocked by that really thick A-pillar and big, I call them bullwinkle moose mirrors. But other than that, man, I got no complaints about that Dodge. I love that thing. But anyway, I got the Suburban in here. I got it pulled in tonight. It's snowing outside, colder than hell. So I went ahead and put the Falcon out back in the lean-to and brought the Suburban in here so that me and maybe my brother can work on that tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to put, he's got brakes for the back of it. I don't know if he's planning on doing that tomorrow or not, but it needs axle bearings, axle seals, wheel cylinders in the back. And of course, we got to get this antifreeze leak fixed, this cooling system leak fixed up front. So we're going to work on that tomorrow, and then I'm going to pull the dually in here and put a serpentine belt on it and check the idler pulley and the serpentine system out, because I don't know what happened. It didn't make that noise. It wasn't like that when it left to go to North Carolina, but by the time it got back from North Carolina, the belt's squeaking and just making all kinds of racket. Of course, Junior didn't say nothing. He just got out of the truck and walked away. But when I started it up for the first time, I was like, ooh, that don't sound good. And when I went to Mark's this morning, I noticed about half the serpentine belt was missing. So we're gonna work on that tomorrow. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. I greatly appreciate it. We got Christmas coming up. We got PRI this weekend. Kind of looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a good weekend. I hope. See y'all tomorrow. Good night, guys.